Hola Marias, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I will be sharing you the basics or what you need to prepare and must have before you can cruise with Royal Caribbean Spectrum of the Seas. Let's all begin with our proof of identification, which is our passport. If you have it, make sure that it is 6 months and more or beyond from the date of embarkation, or if you don't have it, just prepare all the necessary requirements and schedule your passport appointment. You'll be able to receive it in less than 21 days. Once you have all your documents, make sure to also decide, depending on how far you live from the airport, whether you are going to use a public transport or a P2P bus, or you're going to rent a specific car that will fit all of the passengers or the guests, including all of your baggage. And speaking of baggage, depending on the plane ticket that you booked, you will either have extra 20 kilos and above, depending on how much you paid for extra, or just the hand carry 7 kilos with 2 combinable bags. It can either be a trolley and a hand carry, a bag like a carry-on, sling bag, or shoulder bag, or handbag, or you can just have one trolley for your carry-on, 7 kilos, and 20 kilos for your check-in. Once you are in the airport, make sure that all of your documents are available, including your boarding pass from your airline, and as well as your itinerary and your passport all together per person. Make sure you distribute it, because even if one person will be handling it for everyone, if you have someone like my dad who always goes outside to smoke, or like my tita and my sister-in-law who always goes to the bathroom because of a child, then they won't have to fear going to all of these places without their documentation. Please make sure that if you book groups of people together, that they are always checking in together, so that it's easier for you to manage getting in and out of the airport, or also immigration, because sometimes they prioritize those that are traveling as a family with a senior or with an infant. And now you have to take note that you would need to pay the travel tax, which is 1,860 pesos for the adults, and it's just half of the price for the young ones or the infants, I think below 5 years old or below 6 years old. And then after that, you are good to go, so you can go ahead and proceed to the gate that you are supposed to check in, like for us. And it's definitely better if you already did the web check-in, because there's a separate line for web check-in versus the manual one. So here my niece's mom booked a little late, so we failed to do the online check-in for her. But since we are traveling with senior and an infant, we were able to have her prioritized because she's the mother of the infant we were traveling with. But that is only on a case-to-case basis if the personnel is kind enough to notice things like that, specifically honoring that there's a child traveling with you. And yes, we have our wagon with Elsa and Jimmy. Unfortunately, Jimmy was left in the cruise. Now we are in line with the immigration. It's also important that you're close by to each other with those who are elderly, or those that are with the children or traveling for first time, because the questions that they might be asked might not be something they are aware of or familiar of immediately. Like this one, I am the sponsor. We don't have anyone that will be sponsoring us when we go to Singapore, things like that. And make sure to bring your company ID if you're employed, and your certificate of employment if they ask for it. Now that it's done, you can go ahead and do the foreign exchange area and convert your money. It's better to do this way if you are working on a budget. So just give them the money. Let's say for us, 6,000 pesos for the Singapore, because of the transpo going out and going back, in round trip from Marina Bay to the airport. And then just like say 5,000 for Malaysia, 5,000 for Thailand, so it's easier for you to do that as a budgeted money. And then once done, you can go ahead and have some snack or eat, or if you're not that much hungry, you can wait for you to get inside the plane, because the food, if it comes along with your package, because we're traveling for about 3 hours, it is included that we have a meal. So now we are just getting into the plane close by to the gate That's the only time that they took the wagon of my niece. But other than that, they will allow you to have the wagon if the child is resting or sleeping into the wagon. And then yes, again, it's easier if you're traveling close by, because Georgina's mom, since she booked a little late, her seat is quite far, so they allowed us to have my dad swap with a Venice, which is again Georgina's mom. And it's easier if you're going to teach your children as early as now, to set their expectation. What do they have to do? What do they need to expect when they're inside a plane? Specifically equalizing. So that is to prevent their ears to pop up whenever they're inside the plane. So I told Georgina already what countries we are visiting, what ethnicity she might expect, what color of people, the uniqueness of other people compared to us, how beautiful their culture is, and how it is quite different and unique from us, and also how to not be so pasaway when she's inside the plane, and to equalize her ears by herself voluntarily just before her ears pop. So yes, there's quite a bit of traffic up in the air and down here. So there are 3 planes in queue, if you can see that, and then just one flew, and that's it. It's a little traffic, so we were a little late from the desired time of flight that we have. And then eventually you will definitely have your experience of flying again, and I'm flying after 6 years. Yes, after 6 years I am again flying out of the country. And once you are in the plane, make sure that you are equalizing your ears. Children, make sure to check those that are first timers, because sometimes it's a hassle for them not to have their ears equalized, and they might not enjoy the flight. Now we are ready to have our meal. So now we have this food provided by, yes, we're flying by Malaysian Airlines, and then you can take a nap, watch movies, or whatever is available in the plane. And now once you landed on another airport, if you're lucky, if you're going to land in Singapore directly, but with us we had connecting flights here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So one big tip that I can suggest: dedicate one bag for all of your jackets and sweaters, food, and with your chargers. You can have that on a hand carry. Just put everything in, all cup noodles, all coffee, because you don't want to spend as early as just the connecting flights or being early in the airport, right? So you might want to bring extra coffee if you're heavy on coffee, juices or teas, and also cup noodles and biscuit, alongside with all of your chargers that you can easily pull up or pull out inside the plane or in the airport to charge your phones or your mobile devices, and also your jackets, because it's not all the time that it is cold. Sometimes, most of the time, it's hot, so you can have it removed and put back in one place. Now that you have reached Singapore, this is where it is very strict when it comes to the immigration. So make sure to answer the link I will put on the description box below, the e-services for the Singapore immigration. So it's just a health declaration. It's easier if all of the members of your family or group of friends that are traveling have already answered it at least a day prior to arrival to Singapore, and that's for everyone. However, if you have a child less than 6 years old, or I think with that same height, you would have to make them go on a queue on a separate line, because they will not be recognized by the automated system. So the adults who answered the e-services online will be able to go through the automatic or automated system swiftly, but for the kids, they have to go through accompanied by a parent or a guardian on a separate lane. So it's gonna take a little while for them, but for the rest of the family and friends, it will be easier just to go on the queue for all passports, and then everything will be fine. Now that you have crossed the immigration, everything is going to be fine. If you are like us who came in 11 hours before our cruise, basically it's cheaper for us to do this way because we don't have to rent another hotel separately to stay, which is less than a day, and we won't be able to enjoy Singapore also because it's also just less than 24 hours before our cruise. And if we plan way ahead of that, then make sure you have extra money because it's going to cost you to rent a hotel or even a bullet hotel for a group of people, like more than 4, which is 5, 6 or more. Now, you don't have to worry because there's space or an area for you to sleep in the Jewel airport or the Jewel Changi airport outside of this area that you will arrive with. There's a specific area or chairs or perhaps like a faux Bermuda that they will allow you to lie down. I will show you some clips later on, or you can just simply rest on the chairs. If you are unlike us who are very thrifty and you only had like minimum 6 hours layover, you have to put at least 6 hours layover to allow enough delays in between for you not to be left by the ship. But we had 11 hours, so we have ample amount of time. We're in the cup noodles and the biscuits and coffee will come in very handy instead of you buying food in Singapore, which are very, very expensive, by the way. And also you will be able to rest. And since we are traveling with a kid, the wagon is very, very much helpful because even if we are struggling lying down on a bench or on a faux grass or on a chair, Georgina was able to sleep peacefully like a baby every single time because of the wagon. So that's it. It's definitely important for you to be ahead of your cruise at least 6 to 7 hours or a day before your embarkation date or time. So we have reached Singapore airport and I'm now going to check if we can go to Jewel Changi to see the fountain and if we can bring our carts there or whatnot. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Okay. Jewel. So we'll see. Alright, on this side of the mall, it is already well lit. You're only allowed to take a nap for about until 7 a.m. once the lights are on or it is bright out there, or until 8 perhaps, and the mall is not yet open, and then you can still sleep there. And this area naman is where you can just sit down and charge your phone on the chairs itself. So either way, Georgina was sleeping on the wagon on both areas. These chairs have chargers in them, so we started sitting down here and sleeping. And then that green area with the wood flooring, it's very hidden, it's very dark. That's where you can sleep and lie down on the bench or on the floor. No one will care because it's definitely covered and it's dark. And this one, I'm just walking through the area where the fountain is while it's still dark. I think this is 2 a.m. This is the fountain. This is I forgot the name of the fountain. I'll try to insert it here. This is the famous waterfall fountain. It collects all the rainfall water and have that shown every night with lights. And without the lights in daytime, it really is still a fabulous water fountain.
Where to find the assembly station location on your CPAS cards? At your assembly station, if it was a real emergency, you'd have to put on a life jacket.
Now it's just a few hours before our embarkation time, and we are having a breakfast. Of course, my very, 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 very favorite kaya toast, and also some laksa noodles, while Georgina is watching the safety briefing cartoon for children. So it's very important that you have your kids be familiar with the things on board before they get into the ship, because the more they get exposed to it, the more they get familiarized, the lesser tantrums and fear and, I don't know, crying perhaps and asking for mama to carry them around, that will happen. So as much as possible, let them get exposed to the safety briefing cartoon video from the app as early as possible. And now we are heading to the Bay Area for the taxi. So basically, since we are a group of 5, even there's a child, we have a lot of bags. So that compensates for 6 passengers. So 6 and above, it's going to be a minivan or a shuttle service that you have to rent. And mind you, it will always range from $55 to $60 Singapore dollars for this vehicle that we will get, which is very, very spacious enough, luxurious enough.
Madam, pwede na po sumakay, madam? Pwede na po? Are we going to Royal Caribbean now, madam? Madam, ikaw po yung may-ari ng sasakyan, madam? Ikaw po? Pwede na po sumakay? Madam? Ay, wow. Can we ride the minivan now? The van? Can we take...
If you have data, you can also do Grab. If you have Grab Pay, or if it's attached to your bank account, that's also faster, so that you will not lose the money that you just converted in foreign exchange earlier today. However, you have to be very, very careful on choosing the vehicle that you will be able to fit in, including your bags, because you have to consider that some of the Grab drivers are requiring the child seat for infants that are, I think, 3 years old and below, or small children, as part of their policy. But nonetheless, I have a highly, highly, highly recommended driver. Once you are in Singapore, you can definitely contact her via WhatsApp. So while you still have the data in your phone in the airport, because in Changi Airport the Wi-Fi is very, very good, you can message her via WhatsApp and then hire her. She will also charge you with the same rates that will appear in Grab or the services in there, which is approximately ranging from $65 to $55 to $65 Singapore dollars, depending on how many passengers and bags you have available with you. Okay, so that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching this video. This is just the first part, everything basic and you must know before you cruise with Royal Caribbean, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.